Hey guys, it's Josh from the Review Brothers, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new Jay Baruchel film. Crazy to say that. Random Acts of Violence. Now this is a 2020 horror by writer, director, actor Jay Baruchel. And a lot of actors are trying to get into the horror genre, it seems. First Dave Franco, now we got Jay Baruchel. But Jay Baruchel is a lifelong fan of horror from what he says in interviews and other things of that nature. And honestly, I see it. I see that he is. This film is phenomenal. I actually really thought it was well done. It's well crafted, it's well executed, everything in the film works for the most part. It takes a lot of leaps of faith in the horror genre, and some of it pays off, some of it doesn't. That being said, that happens with any film that wants to take risks, and this definitely takes risks. It wants to say something. It wants to say something more than just being another horror film. It has a message behind it, and it is still also probably one of the goriest things I have seen in a while. This film made me physically uncomfortable at times. Just in general uncomfortable. Genuinely uncomfortable. Like, I haven't felt uncomfortable in a horror film in a long time. But this achieved that. I have nothing but praise to say about most of this, other than the acting. The acting I thought could have been better, but you know what? It's a low budget horror film at the end of the day. It's made with a budget of only $3.5 million, and for what it is, the cast does their job. They do their job. They give us enough of a compelling performance to where it keeps my interest as far as the acting goes, but the acting's nothing to write home about. It's nothing special. That being said, it's still well casted, I will say that, as the actors don't really do anything special. That being said, like I said, it's still well casted. I understood that all these people were supposed to be playing those characters, and Jay Baruchel, in my opinion, is the funniest part of this film. He's the small bit of humor and levity in an otherwise very serious, dark, and very gritty, grungy, grindhouse-style slasher film that reminds me of the 70s, 80s, and 90s films of yesteryear. That being said, the genre is alive and well, it seems, with this one, as it revitalizes a dead genre, as slasher films have been getting progressively worse and worse and worse as the modern generation and modern era go on. The older ones are always going to top the newer ones, in my opinion, but this is something really special in that genre, in that space. I think Jay Baruchel is a huge fan of horror. I definitely think it after this. And I definitely think he has a very bright future in this genre. Now, this was written by him and Jay Chabat, and I actually think that it's just one of his best films. From conception to craft, from the crafting of it to the direction, production design is pretty good on it too. The VFX and the visuals are phenomenal. This is a really well shot film. And to be honest, the visuals are so dirty, grungy, grimy, and disgusting to look at. And that's what you want from a horror. You want a horror to make you feel uncomfortable, unnerved, and on the edge of your seat. And I definitely felt all of those things throughout the entire runtime of this. It's tightly paced at an hour and 20 minutes, which is the perfect amount of time to get in and get out of this thing, where you learn enough about the characters, you care enough about them, and the horror delivers. If it went any longer, I would say that it was overstaying its welcome. Honestly, this is the perfectly paced horror film that you wanna watch. It's one of those things where you get in, you get out pretty quickly, but it stays with you. Goodness gracious, does that ending stay with you? And a lot of people are gonna find problems with it. A lot of people are gonna say that the ending was. I've had time to think about it now, as I watched this a couple hours ago, and I've had a couple hours to think over the ending now. And it definitely stays with you. The whole film, the message that it tries to portray, the meta-ness of it all, everything about this film is very. There's a lot of meta-ness, honestly, to the aspects. And Baruchel does a really good job of disguising them, but you can definitely see them if you really pay close attention to the film. And there's a message hidden within that ending and within all of what's going on. And I don't know what he really wants the audience to think. I think it's really up to audience interpretation what happens in this Otherwise, very brutal, very grotesque, and very, very grungy grindhouse-style slasher. But that being said, Jay Baruchel delivers, man. He frickin' delivers. This is an incredible film for his directorial career. His first film, Goon, The Last Enforcer, was funny, and it wasn't anything special, and it definitely didn't deliver past what I wanted for a sequel to Goon, and I was kind of disappointed with this. This, I'm blown away. I think he has a total future in horror. I think that he's definitely, I want to see more from him. I want him to make more horror films. As this, if this is the tip of the iceberg, I wonder where else he can go with something like this. It definitely feels like a passion project for him, and I definitely believe that horror is the genre he needs to stick to. He's really good in it, and I think that his direction can't go understated. The way that he crafts this 70s, 80s, 90s homage style slasher and adds modern elements to it and still finds a way to modernize it while also paying homage to all of the classics through the way that the film is shot and the way that the locations are and how everything looks, and the dialogue is actually really good. I actually really like this film. I just think that everything across the board, from script to direction to visuals, is fantastic. My only, again, problem is really the acting. But other than that, from music to pacing to production design, this whole thing is really well done. And like I said, I was just really uncomfortable watching the entire thing. And I feel like if you're going to watch a horror film, if you're not uncomfortable and if it's not scaring you, it's not a good horror film. This is a good horror film. And I genuinely believe that you need to check it out. If you're squeamish, I don't recommend it because it is incredibly gory and it's not going to be for everyone. But if you're able to handle that, if you're a huge fan of horror, and if you're a fan of the Friday the 13th, the Halloweens, and the Nightmare on Elm Streets, I definitely recommend this one. That being said, I'm going to give Random Acts of Violence an 8 out of 10. And I believe that it is on VOD. Yes, it is on VOD in Canada right now, and it comes out on Shudder everywhere else, I believe, August 20th, US, UK, everywhere else around that area, or wherever Shudder is. And I highly recommend you buy Shudder for the month and you watch it, because it's definitely worth it. And if you're in Canada, buy it on VOD. Support indie filmmaking. Support filmmakers right now through this pandemic, and on top of that, definitely support Jay Baruchel so that he makes some serious money off of this. I want him to make some serious money from this film so that he can go and make something else, because I really want to see what he can do in the horror genre again, because he really impressed me on this one. And it's really hard to impress me because I've seen so many horror films, but I genuinely believe that this is, one, his best movie that he's ever directed, and two, probably the best movie I've ever seen him in. Other than the comedies he does with Seth Rogen, like This Is the End. But for Baruchel, this is his defining moment as a director, I believe, so far in his career. And like I said, it's my favorite thing that I've seen him do as a director, as a writer, and definitely as an actor. As I feel like this is definitely a passion project, and he brings so much to it. From every aspect, from acting, directing, and writing. And it's definitely something you should check out if you are up for it. If you're not up for it, I understand that. It's not going to be for everyone. But for horror fans, I recommend it highly. 8 out of 10, Random Acts of Violence. Go check this thing out. Jay Baruchel is going to be a future star of the horror genre as far as directing goes. Peace, guys!